ZW Designs Incorporated. Measurement Guide. You will need a tape measure and lightweight clothing for the most accurate measurements. Keep the tape measure taut, but not tight while measuring around body parts. Neck. Measure at the base of the neck. Across the shoulder. Measure from shoulder bone to shoulder bone. Chest. Measure at the fullest part of the chest. Measure the chest, under the arm, and above the bust. Bust. Measure at the fullest part of the bust. Rib. Measure the chest just under the bust, on the ribs. Bicep. Measure the fullest part of your upper arm. Elbow. Measure at the bend of the elbow. Wrist. Measure at the base of the arm where it meets the hand at the bone. Waist. Place your hands on your waist at the point where you bend from side to side. Measure at this point. Sleeve. Measure from the center of the base of the neck to the shoulder, down the arm to the wrist. Front bodice length. Measure from where the neck meets the shoulder, down the front contouring over the bust to the waist. Back bodice length. Measure from where the neck meets the shoulder, down the back to the waist. High hip, abdomen. Measure at about 3½ inches below the waist. Hip. Measure at the fullest part of the hip. Seat. Measure at the fullest part of the hips. Crotch. Measure from the waist at the center of the back, under the crotch, to the waist at the center of the front. Thigh. With feet shoulder width apart, measure the fullest part of the thigh. Knee. Measure at the bend of the knee over the kneecap. Front waist height. Stand flat-footed with no shoes and measure from the waist at the center of the front to the floor. Back waist height. Standing flat-footed with no shoes, measure from the waist at the center of the back over the hip and to the floor. Measuring the shoulder slope and the neck width requires a few extra steps and tools. You will need tape, a piece of paper large enough to cover the shoulder and neck area, or several small pieces taped together, a straight edge, a clear wall space, and a flat surface. First, tape the paper to the wall. The person being measured should stand flat-footed against the wall in front of the paper. Mark 4 different points, both sides of the neck at the neck's base, and each shoulder at the joint connecting to the arm. Take the paper down and lay it on a flat surface. Using a straight edge, draw a horizontal line through the neck marks. Measure the distance between these marks to find the neck width. Draw perpendicular lines connecting each shoulder mark to the first line. Measure each of these perpendicular lines to find your left and right shoulder slope. Do not be alarmed if the left and right measurements are different. This is very common.